Here's another corner of the garden. We got some raised beds and then some also in-ground beds going on over in here. Just recently got drip irrigation all into this area. The oak tree, once it loses its leaves in the sycamores, provides a very nice mulch in here. We just harvested a ton of cherry radishes from this bed right here, but we do have some kale that's growing and some chives that we started from seed that were interplanted. So we got to clean this up and do something with it. We have a longer growing radish in here, and then of course we have our winter boar kale all growing alongside it with some onions in there. These beds look a little bit better. We have carrots that were started probably a couple months ago when the temperatures dropped a little bit. We also have some onion chives that we started from seed and transplanted all in here. And we have some winter boar kale that's growing in here as well. But some of the carrots, we have two different varieties of carrots, and some of the carrots are looking pretty good in here. I was just looking at one. Nice sized carrot right in there. And so we're just gonna let kind of some of these other guys grow a little bit more, and then we will harvest our first bunch of carrots. We have our beet bed right here. This is an in-ground bed that we just built this past fall, and we have lots of beets in here. The beets are growing very close together, so we probably need to think about thinning them out. We already did one thinning, but beets, they can need something like 6 to 9 inches of space for them to get pretty big. Variety of kale that's growing along with them. It's a dinosaur kale, and we have some Swiss chard growing in here, but just a lot of beets. We have another in-ground bed right here. We have French breakfast radishes, which is a very quick radish that's growing in this bed. And then on the other side of the bed, we have Hackaway turnips. And so this is a salad turnip. And these guys were planted really close together. This was direct seeded. But you can start to see the turnip forming. And so when the turnip itself gets to be about that big, we'll actually start harvesting these guys. So they're a quick turnip, and you harvest them when they're young, when the leaves are really tender. So they're really great in like southern greens or stir fries. When you get them real young, you can do salads with them. And then the actual turnip itself is really sweet. So look up like salad turnips, Hackaway turnips. And so you can eat them raw, or you can cook them just like any other turnip. We have carrots and some winter boar kale, but mostly carrots. So a very long bed of carrots. And then this weed that's growing here, it's called henbit, and it actually works as a pretty good companion plant. It's part of the mint family. It can act as kind of like a pest repellent. If it gets too out of hand, we'll start weeding it, but you can see that carrots have done pretty good. And then we started interplanting throughout the garden several different fruit trees that do well here. This is called a jujube, very thorny. We put it on the outside of the garden and produces a fruit that's similar to like a date. It's called a Chinese date is the other name for it. So we just planted this just a few weeks ago. And so we planted jujubes and then 2 persimmon trees this year. And then last year we planted four different pear trees, 2 apples in our Made Green plot area, two plums. We have 2 plums that are planted on the other side of the church. And so these trees, after planting, they require about 5 gallons of water a week, depending on what the weather's doing. In the summertime, it's more like 2 to 3 times a week if it's really dry. And in the winter time, especially if it's raining, we don't have to water as much. And then we have very well established fig trees. We have 1, 2, 3, about 3 fig trees. And so it's that time of year where we're going to start pruning everything. And so we're going to be pruning our fruit trees, including this fig. And we're going to knock this thing down to maybe like 2 feet. Starting with some resources. So we get our wood chips for free, just chip drop. And so there are arborists throughout the city that are always taking out people's trees and shrubs, and then they're chopping them up, and it costs them less to bring them to a place like us and just drop them for free. So we get an unlimited amount of wood chips that we use as mulch in our furrows, and we just use it mostly to suppress weeds, to help with soil health. It'll leach nutrients over time into the soil and into our growing beds. It'll feed all the microorganisms, and it helps with water retention, which is the name of the game when you live in Texas and you're a gardener or a farmer, is you're thinking about water all the time. It never ends. Keeps you up at night. And finally, we have our compost area. And so this is a great area for volunteers to come, because they can help learn about compost, but then also do some nice manual labor to take care of the compost piles. And so this is our brush pile, so like really woody stuff that's just going to take a lot longer to break down. We put that all in there, and we just let it slowly cold compost time. Here are our actual beds that we're using a lot of nitrogen heavy materials like fruits and vegetables and green materials, so not woody or dried out. And then we're layering those with our big leaf pile right over there. So we get leaves from the neighborhood, from just like community members, and we're just layering this guy, and it's cooking down. Takes maybe about 6 months each pile. We'll turn it every so often. You can see some of them are ready to go, finished compost, ready to sift. And so when we're ready to sift, we just bring it over to our sifters. We got a lot of different ones. We have a volunteer who helps build these guys for us. We've got a really small one right over here, a shorter one, and that helps with like when we have little kid groups. They come through, their little gloves, and they sift all that compost through. We collect it in wheelbarrows, and then we will bag it and put the bagged finished compost in here. Collect a lot of pumpkins from the neighborhood after the holiday season, and so that helps immensely with our compost. And so we're trying something new this year. This is going to be a compost area right here. We're going to split it up into 3 different bins. It's like one bin right here, one bin here, another bin in the middle, and another bin of the 3rd area. And so we're going to just start composting it, so layering our food scraps and green materials with a nice layering of leaves, letting that break down in here. Well, we already have pumpkins popping up, seeding itself already. But what we're going to do is this first bin is going to break down first, and we're actually going to plant some very quick growing crops in this first area. So we're going to grow directly in the finished compost rather than sifting it and then bagging it. We're going to grow in that, and then these 2 other bins are going to continue breaking down. And once this guy's ready to harvest, we'll harvest, and then this second bin, this middle bin, is going to be ready compost and broken down. So then we're going to plant in that area, and then this is going to become another compost pile. So it's breaking down, and we're just rotating. We're going to be rotating our composting area and our growing area. So, yeah, the compost we get is pretty much what we're building ourselves. We use very little other inputs. We use that mulch, we use our compost, and occasionally we'll use Garrett juice and a Texas tea fertilizer. But all that stuff is very expensive, and we don't want to become dependent on it. So really it's about building good soil and adding a lot of diversity and continuing to plant a lot of diversity into our beds and mulching and building really nice soil. All right, so that's what we have growing on at the garden here at Ridglea in the west side of Fort Worth. If you are in Fort Worth and you want to learn with us or help a good cause, please come out and volunteer. We got 2 volunteer days a week. You can find our website in our description and also on our page, so please follow and subscribe. If you don't live in Fort Worth or near here, please just support your community gardens and school gardens. They're a great way to get outside, build community, and teach us where our food comes from. All right, thanks for watching.